Alright. Hey, I'm Aqua or Aquarius of Fallen Snow. If you don't know me, welcome to this episode of my podcast, The Shit Shooting Gallery. Happy to have you back if you've been here before. So, in this episode, I want to start talking about communism and capitalism and different forms of socio-economic governance and different forms of governance, different philosophies, different ways of thinking, different schools of thought, basically. Because I was up pretty late last night and I posted a video yesterday talking about how, I think, in my personal opinion, that we don't need money. It's more of a middleman, right? If we're willing to put in the time and energy to working, why are we trading it for this resource, money, the middleman, that gets taxed all the way along, just to trade it for the resource at the other end that, most of it is basic human necessities, and then the other stuff we don't really need. It's all capitalist consumerism, right? But before I get too far into that, let me go over some definitions, which I just looked up before recording this, and I wrote down next to me. So I'm going to read some of them off, and they're fresh on my mind, right? But let's start with capitalism, right? So capitalism is an economic system characterized by private ownership of the means of production where individuals or businesses own and control resources to produce goods and services for profit, with prices and distribution determined by market forces rather than government control. Fair enough, right? Now, let me give you my own personal definition because I can add to that. I think it is more focused on capital gains, right? Focused on the money, and capitalizing on people's lack of, perpetuating authoritarianism, slavery through wages and taxes, as well as dictator-style democracy, right? But let's keep going here. Let's go to socialism. Advocates that the means of production, resources, and exchange should be owned by the community as a whole. Right? It's a stepping stone for communism. But what is communism, right? It is a community-centered, socio-political, philosophical, and economic ideology within the socialist movement. And in my mind, it's pretty egalitarian. If you want to go to the extremes of communism, you could say a stateless, classless, moneyless, possibly nomadic, egalitarian society. Which, in my mind, I don't think has truly ever been implemented in our colonized history. In colonial history. But let's go to conservatism next. Committed to traditional values and ideas with opposition to change or innovation. In my mind, it kind of focuses on conserving predominantly white, colonial, capitalist ideology. Capitalist traditions and ideology. But let's keep going down my list here. I got a few more before I really start getting into what's on my mind. So let's go over fascism, authoritarian ultra-nationalist political ideology and movement, dictatorial leader, centralized autocracy, militarism, forcible suppression of opposition, belief in a natural societal hierarchy, individual interest for the benefit of the nation or race, and strong regimentation of society and economy. Okay, let's keep it going to technocracy next. The government or control of society or industry by elite or technical experts. What about autocracy? A system of government controlled by one person in absolute power. And even in our North American democracy, it seems more like autocracy, or where we pick our autocratic or dictatorial leaders to make the decisions for us, instead of us actually making the decisions about the system and life how we think it should be, right? Let's move on to patriarchy next. A system of society or government in which the father or eldest son is head of the family and descent traced through male lines. Alright, what about pathocracy or pathocracy? A system of government where small, pathological minorities control a society of normal people, often through manipulation, fear, greed, and disregard for others. So basically society run by narcissists and psychopaths. And I have a full video breaking that down on my channel, so if you want to learn more about that, definitely check out that video. Let's keep going, I only have a few more here. Libertarianism is a political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprise. Respect and accept behaviors different from one's own. In contrast to narcissism, which is excessive interest or admiration of oneself and one's physical appearance. I even think narcissism is a philosophical school of thought that oneself is always right or can never be wrong. Right? And then the last definition I have here is for egalitarianism. It's a doctrine that people are equal and deserve equal rights and opportunity. Going through those definitions, it's crazy to me how many people want to talk about, oh, these systems that have called themselves communist or socialist have always fallen apart, or they've never worked, or X, Y, and Z, right? And then the reasons they give for it not working are majority in part because of either capitalist conservatism, fascism, technocracy, autocracy, dictatorships. Like, I feel like if there are still people in control or people in positions of authority, then it doesn't leave room for egalitarianism or equality, right? And I basically spammed my TikTok last night and this morning with a bunch of comment replies, but a lot of them, like, I just keep getting comments and I want to reply, but I don't have enough space on my phone because it saves to the local storage on my phone. So it says my apps are taking up a lot of my space on my phone, unfortunately. But I can just go back through the replies or through my activity feed and kind of go over some of these comments. If you want to see the original video, I posted it in my shorts as well. It's titled "We Don't Need Money," all caps with an exclamation point, so it should be pretty easy to find. And I just want to go through like a bunch of these comments and quickly like give some remarks or like my thoughts on them, because I did reply to a bunch of these already, but there's some I want to expand on my thoughts, you know? So some people said that communism has never worked, but then they don't really give reasons why. One person said it sounds nice though. And I said, okay, well, if it sounds nice, why don't we try implementing it? Almost like it goes against all the shit that we have right now, and it gives the power to the people. And I also said at the end of that, like, why can't we take the best parts of all systems of thinking, like socialism, communism, capitalism, whatever it is, but actually make a system that works for everybody, the majority of people, not just our system right now that seems to only work for the 1%. And somebody else made a good point. They said communism has never been implemented, and I think that's facts, that it's never been properly implemented or to the full extent. Because if there's still people in power taking advantage of the system the way it is, and there's still oppressed people, I don't think that is truly communism. It's still oligarchy, autocracy, fascism, whatever. They just call it different things, right? Kind of how, like, in our capitalist society, it evolved from slavery and feudalism and learned how to perpetuate those systems while continuing to keep people enslaved and thinking that the system works for them when it actually takes advantage of them, right? That same person that said it has never been properly implemented said, we need to stop any form of classism in order for us to truly be able to reach communism. And I truly agree with that statement as well. Shout out Nate in the comments on my TikTok. And I'll try to shout out some other users that I think are making good points or I've appreciated them supporting my content. And like I said in my vlogs, if you enjoy my videos, make sure to leave a like and drop a comment to what you enjoy the most about them, and I'll try to make sure to include more in the future. Because I do want to listen to the community and truly make this like a social thing, not just me talking at the camera, but me having conversations with people. Let's keep going here. Somebody said, "Did you make the phone that you took this video on?" Great point. I did not, but I would be happy to contribute, which is what I said in that video, which is what I said in my reply video to them. And I went on about how the system we have in place right now already takes advantage of third world countries, child labor, oppressing people, taking advantage of people. So the phone that I have, we have all this technology and these things that we take for granted because I feel like we don't put our time and energy into truly making them. We don't know what goes into making this technology. We just use it and take advantage of it, right? But nobody wants to think about that. They just say, "Oh, I don't want to do the work. Let's let somebody else do it for a fraction of the price that they should be getting paid for that actual work," right? And in those situations, it's not even a minimum wage, it's not even a livable wage, it's even less than that. Like, it's absolutely insane, but these CEOs and these people that are sitting on their ass for the majority of the work that don't have their actual boots on the ground doing the work with their workers are getting paid 10 times or hundreds of times what their employees in that same country are making, and even more than the people they're profiting off in third world countries, you know? Somebody agreed with my post and said, "In any rational person's eyes, this is how, society should be." And I said, yeah, too bad most people aren't rational. And yeah, somebody made a good point here. Their handle on TikTok is random person. Said, "We don't live in a capitalist society. America is an oligarchy. It is not capitalism. Capitalism can work just as communism can work. It's humans' greed that has ruined both." And that is 100% factual, that it's not the systems of government or governance in place, but the people in power taking advantage of those systems, manipulating those systems in their favor. Somebody here tried to say that communism has been implemented by dictators, and that's the problem. So people relate communism with dictatorship. We need a democratic communist society ASAP. That was Corey. Shout out, thank you for the support in the comments. And yeah, I feel like this goes back to fascism or pathocracy, with small groups of people being in control with psychological disorders, and then they're fucking it up, but they're calling it, they can put whatever title they want on it, but it's still people fucking up the system, being greedy, egotistical, not doing the shadow work, not wanting to, that I feel is the biggest problem. It's not even like an us versus them, it's like, can we all work together but also look within, do our shadow work, and help ourselves so we are able to help other people. I kinda trolled on this guy when he first commented. He said, "Never in the history of the world have people given the hypothetical axe in the video I was talking about. They traded it for other goods that were useful to them." And I was basically saying like, oh yeah, this guy has gone back in time and he can see back in the past and he knows that, oh, there has never been gift economy, or there's never been true communist society in native indigenous cultures. He's saying there has always only been trade or barter, which I said is not true. Like, instead of means of production, let's say I need an axe, I don't have one, but my neighbor has one. Why can't I borrow that and give it back right after? Why can't we have an economy based on, oh, if you have something I need right now, could I use it? And I'll pay you back with something in the future. If I have something you need in the future, just let me know, go for it. But it's not based on a I need something in return right now. It's based on it's based on genuine need and people sharing their resources, right? That's what it's all about. And that same person that I just read that comment from sent me a few DMs, and I tried to explain like, hey, all the things that you think are wrong with communism, because they sent me some messages first saying, oh, this is why it doesn't work in my opinion. I was saying, well, those are problems with capitalism or our society as it is currently, but those would not be problems or not the same problems or in the same way with communism or socialism than this person. And I read the messages, but I didn't reply. And they ended up saying something about like, yeah, I kind of agree with what you're saying, but I think because I grew up in an upper middle class family and I lived a whatever life, I don't see it that way. And it's like, yeah, because you're part of the problem, perpetuating this system, taking advantage of it without even realizing it, you know? But of course, their profile picture is them in football gear, so, you know, they might have been hit in the head a few too many times. And there's nothing against sports or physical activity, but football and rugby and all the super physical ones where guys just want to beat the shit out of each other, those ones don't really make sense to me, you know? Someone left a comment on another video that was talking about how communist societies have always led to violence, and I was basically saying like, do you know why that is? Because it's always fascist, or it's always because of oppression, which is what we're going through right now in our society, which we call capitalism, right? Even though it's more oligarchy, technocracy, autocracy than anything, right? Fascism for sure now. But then somebody replied agreeing with me, saying, but human beings literally feel the need to be social and get along with each other, not take control like the other person was saying that I replied to. It's called dictatorship, as if we didn't know what was sending me. So yeah, we're just laughing at the person. Let me open the video and get that comment. That was a comment replying to, because communism doesn't work either. Human beings feel the need to take control. It's called dictatorship. Russia, North Korea, China, it always ends in violence. And I was basically saying, is that a problem with the system of government or governance? Or is that a problem with the people in power taking advantage and oppressing the people under them? Yeah, somebody else was saying that if there was ever truly a communist country, the US would come in and mess their shit up pretty quick. This was that same person with the football gear commenting on when I replied to his comment. Sure, gifting is a thing, but if you think trade hasn't been a thing since the beginning of civilization, you're wrong. Trade was very common among different indigenous groups and other cultures around the world since the beginning of civilization. Which I understand. I said that. I said, yeah, it makes sense. But we can't act like that is the only thing that has ever existed, and that we don't live in a society where we do both trade and gift, right? It's not only one or the other. And I think that's an important distinction to be made too. It's like, where is the nuance? Where is the, like, where is the middle ground, basically? Going back to that idea of, can we take the best parts of every civilization or culture and actually make something that works for everyone? Zach said, labor is still required to produce anything and everything. The reason you have roads is because I traded my time and money to build them for you, who will labor for free. And that gets me on a whole point of, I replied to that saying like, well, yeah, in a capitalist economy, or in a society where we trade work, where we trade our time and our lives for money, it devalues voluntary work. Why are people not doing the work that they want to be doing? And I said, in a world without money, what work would you be doing, right? Or if school was free and we didn't have to go into debt for it, how many different subjects would you go and learn instead of just focusing on one and then trying to work enough to pay off your student debt after? And yeah, obviously there's going to be labor still required in a communist economy. Like, that's like saying somebody could, like, there are people today that could just lay in bed and not even get up to piss. You know what I mean? They could just be sitting there laying in bed And it's like, I'm sure in very rare situations there are people who have conditions, so it makes it hard for them to get up and do these like basic human necessities. And I'm sure in some situations, unfortunately, there are people who can't get the right help. But hopefully, either because of family, friends, or being able to pay for the services or have the services provided for them, they are able to get help and assistance getting up and out of bed, right? Whether it's to go to the bathroom, if it's their mental and they don't want to get up and actually live their lives because they realize they're just being enslaved to the system. Like, whatever it is, we need to look at other people and try to help them, not just, oh, well, there's work that has to be done, so I don't want to do it. It's like, no, you have to get up every day to go to the bathroom and eat and do the basic human shit anyways. So once you get those needs met, what would you do with your time or your life? And that same person was talking about, like, who's gonna volunteer for underwater welding. It's like, okay, if you want a car, if you want to travel around, then maybe you'll have to contribute to building cars, building a car for yourself and your community, and helping building and maintaining roads. Like, if there's a pothole on the road, how often do you think, oh, I wish I could just get out and fix that shit, get it done in 5 minutes, and then help out the community, instead of having to sit around and wait for months, sometimes years, for people to come around and just put some shit in the hole that doesn't even fully solve the problem. They're just putting a band-aid on it anyways. So why are we waiting? Why aren't we actually getting up and doing shit that needs to be done based on actual need and necessity, not just capitalist consumerism, right? We keep going here. Yeah, Azarion, shout out, I appreciate it. Commented a lot on my post and was interacting and engaging a bunch, so I really appreciate that. They said, we gotta move to socialism so we can reach communism, in my opinion, especially here in Canada. I would much rather be choosing between Green Party and NDP rather than the Liberals and Conservatives. And I was talking about how, yeah, if you look back at Canada's history, we have only ever had Liberal and Conservative leaders. It just flip-flops back and forth. Which, reading the definitions like I did before, isn't it kind of crazy conservatism is so popular to this day? And why is that? Most of it is the elite, the 1%, the upper class that's supporting them, less taxes, all that shit. But it's honestly kind of scary. It's still like a pretty prevalent party, you know? And they were talking about NDPs, and yeah, I think if we can get to socialism and more liberal egalitarian thinking just in general, not even the political parties, but just like our own thinking and our own perception and how we interact with the world, how much different would it look, right? And then Nate commented again, he said, the problem is when you describe socialism to someone, they love the idea until you say the word socialism. And they're right. Socialism is still better than capitalism. Which I don't know why he said and they're right there, but I don't know, I think it's more the propaganda, and people get scared of hearing socialism and communism because of the propaganda, and they think that, oh, it has been implemented, it has been tried, and it doesn't work. But I don't think they even really know the definitions of the words they're talking about. Somebody asked me what my job was. I thought that was pretty funny because, yeah, I am currently unemployed, but I'm up at my parents' house helping them with renovations, and I'm trying to be an entrepreneur making content every day. So it's like I'm not working, you know what I mean? As well as still looking for a slave labor job out in the workforce, you know? This guy, new person now, said, I love being allocated to work instead of individual autonomy. Go communism. And I was memeing on him. I was basically saying, like, okay, do you not go to work and have a boss or a manager, because the boss probably isn't even on the floor telling you what to do, allocating your time while you're on the clock? It's such a hypocritical and ironic comment. I was just laughing about it. Like, this shit's hilarious to me. These people just don't understand. I was also mentioning how, I don't know, in the future I might start a party, like a political party called the Philosophical Anarcho-Communist or Anarchy Communist Party of Canada, or the PAC Party, where, you have a base of philosophy, introduce basic philosophy in schools to higher levels in high school, and then, yeah, implement anarchist and communist values into society. You could call it socialism, but I would even go as far as to say, no, let's just get rid of the money. Let's go stateless, classless, moneyless, and we still have people who are willing to defend their land and communities. We can still have people who specialize in medicine who want to take care of people. We can still have farmers and industry builders. Like, oh, it's crazy. It's like society doesn't have to change that much, but can we change the fundamental thinking to make it more inclusive and egalitarian for everyone, Somebody said, so why don't you implement it? Nothing is stopping you. Many people have started communes and coups. Literally nothing stopping you from doing it, but you'd rather yap online. It's like, brother. Yes, I am going to go out and completely dismantle the system of governance and power that we have right now. Like, is this not the first step? Just yapping about it with people, having conversations, figuring out what actually works and what doesn't work. Like, what am I going to do right now today? I could walk out my door and do it. Yeah, I'm trying to. Like, people are hilarious, man. I get a good chuckle out of it, so I'm not even cheesing too much, Laura G said there have been indigenous societies who have successfully lived this way before colonization. And I was saying, yes, thank you. That's what I'm saying. People are hilarious. There was one person saying like, oh my god, we pay for teachers in our school system for this? And I said, yeah, you're paying for me to take the information I needed from school, use critical thinking, and then go out into the world and fight against the oppressive system. It's like, yeah, you did pay for that. Thank you. I appreciate it. Someone said, yeah, move out of capitalist countries. We don't want communism. And I said, that's so fundamentally stupid, because if somebody's trying to look at community and people and trying to grow and help the country, why would you want to kick them out of that? Why would you want to kick them out for that? That didn't make sense, but, another one talking about lack of labor with communism. This is that same one that was talking about allocating time, right? How does communism solve a lack of lumberjacks per se? It doesn't, however, a capitalist-based society does. You missed my point. Of course, a capitalist-based society isn't without its inherent issues, but we've come to this conclusion over thousands of years of societal development. Like, I love people trying to tell me I'm wrong about this, but they're not like, oh, I missed the point because I understand that if there's a need for wood, people would go out and chop down trees, but we don't need a full industry constantly pumping out logs or lumber that are just going to sit in stores waiting to be bought that may never be bought, Like, I don't know, there's some parts about capitalism that just don't make sense. Like, we have so much more than we need, but why are there still third world countries? Why are we not sending like, oh, you have a shitty warped piece of lumber? Bro, I'm sure there are third world countries that would love to have that, and they could build beautiful structures out of it. You know what I mean? Oh, okay, so the same person that says, yeah, move out of capitalist country and go to a communist one was saying, my family had to escape communism due to famine, oppression, political corruption, no work. Oh, and remember comrade? And then they tried to say something about, oh, and they couldn't stand on the sidewalk. And then they're saying like, oh, you people LARP communists. Again, is that a problem with the system of governance that they called communism, or is that a problem with the people in power oppressing others, taking advantage of the system? Like, I hear what they're saying, and it's like, I'm sorry that their family had to go through that, but why did they not stay in that country to actually try and fight for their people and for a better life in that country? Why did they have to escape to basically the same thing with a different mask on it, you know? Somebody here said, so many things take a lot of time to develop enough knowledge and understanding on. You can't just pick it up and go. Like the water plant. Do you know how to design one? If we already have them designed, and we have the plans and the blueprints already, then I could figure it out. It would take a while working alone, and I probably wouldn't be able to do it in my lifetime, but there's a difference between, do we have to build new infrastructure? Are we just using the infrastructure that's already there? How many people already know how to use and to build it and can put those, like, just because I am not specialized in one thing does not mean I am going to be the person doing the water treatment plant. I would work at the water treatment plant to have running water and flush the toilets, but do I need the information of how to build it, or can I just go there to help build the thing because somebody else has the knowledge of how to do it, but they need help doing it? That same person that talked about their family leaving, all that being said, the irony is you probably live in a more privileged lifestyle than I do. I'm thankful to be living in a democratic capitalist society where I still have a chance. Okay. I am grateful for my life and where I live right now too. I was saying this on the vlog yesterday. I am very thankful for my life, that I can breathe and I can walk around. I'm not sick right now. I'm not injured. I'm able to help my parents. Great. But again, it's these systems of oppression that we think we have a chance, but the whole system, that's the whole thing. It's made to brainwash us to think we have a chance. When in reality, do we really? What is the odds that that person is ever going to be a millionaire or a billionaire? Or even be able to better their life enough in this modern age to even buy a house or be able to pay their bills sustainably? Like, I don't think that person, like, we're on the decline here. It's turning into the same shit because the whole world is fascist. You know what I mean? It's all groups of people, it's all small groups of people controlling the masses who have fucking psychological problems, you know? Another person here said, sorry dude, my wife is DX medicine. She never stops taking courses and training. I drilled for 20 years, learn something new every day. Sorry, just had to get some more water there. And my activity feed on TikTok is going crazy. That's good. I don't mind it, but yeah, that's crazy. So where was I? Sorry dude, my wife is in DX medicine. She never stopped taking courses and training. I drilled for 20 years, learned something new every day. Absolutely. You can still specialize in whatever it is, but you could also have other knowledge or choose to not. Like, you can still drill for 10 years and take 2 years off and say, okay, I'm ready to get back into it now because I've let my body rest a little bit, and then you get back into it. Or maybe after that you choose, oh no, you know, I did the drilling for a while, my body's getting older, it's not the same as it used to be, it's not as young. Let me try and work in that industry or sector, but not doing the actual drilling, you know? How can you help out with the knowledge you have, not necessarily doing the hardest labor, right? Somebody else talking about learning here. I went through a bachelor's, master's, and doctorate in finance. Sure, I took the concepts I needed, but the real lessons are critical thinking and problem solving. Academia is indoctrination. Yeah, so they were agreeing with what I was saying. But, you know, that's also easier said than done, basically, is what they're saying. And yeah, I think that academia is just putting the horse blinders on and getting specialized in one course just so you get worked like a dog in that course. Like the person that's in medicine there, okay, how overworked are they because there isn't enough people in that field? But how many people could just come and help do the shitty things that, you know, the nurses or whatever might not want to do or might not have the most time or energy for focus on the more important stuff, try to relieve some of that, while also giving other people the ability to work. Like maybe you're going to have some people that are older, just around that retirement age, but they still want to help community and society. Maybe they could help other people that are a little bit older than them, the next generation older, but doing the simpler stuff, or just helping to clean up. Like, bruh, give people the ability to work and to keep living, you know what I mean? Like, don't just force them into these, like, don't just shoehorn them into these subjects or categories and then say, okay, there you go, that's all you are, is a doctor or a driller or underwater welder or lumberjack, whatever. Like, you don't have to be a complete specialist, but you also don't have to be a jack of all trades that specializes in nothing, You can have some specialized information while also having a variety or a range. And what are the academic fields that would have overlap, right? Like horticulture and biology, so looking at plants and then humans and animals. Or like the sciences and philosophy and all these different things should be overlapping, not just like, oh, horse blinders on, this is all there is, Somebody else here, Ardani, I think that's how you pronounce their name. I think the issue is that many people who use the English language, don't actually understand or comprehend the language. Which is 100% true. There are a ton of people who just don't understand the words that they're saying, or they don't understand the definitions and the etymology, not etymology, because somebody was telling me that etymology with the T-O is a study of insects, but etymology with a T-Y is the study of the origins of words and how they've changed over time, which I think is a very helpful study that a lot of people should know more about, but, this person says, the amount of people I've had tell me that true communism has never been implemented is crazy, just like the mustache man wasn't a progressive, just because it says, oh, one sec, let me open up the post. Just because it says, yeah, Communist Party doesn't make it so. Absolutely agree. Yeah, that's actually a pretty good point that, like, yeah, I guess that's what I was saying before, that they can call themselves whatever they want, but the actions speak louder than words, right? You can say you're a socialist or a communist, whatever, but if you're still oppressing people or sending people to camps, probably not, right? Like, this next person says, support socialism under the restriction of being fiscally conservative, and I have to look up what that means. Fiscal conservatives advocate tax cuts, reduced government spending, free markets, deregulation, privatization still, free trade, and minimal government debt. Like, okay, let's go through it. Tax cuts, good. Taxes are forms of slavery and entrapment and oppression. Reduce government spending. I mean, okay. Free markets, absolutely. Deregulation, sure. Privatization, not for that. Free trade, sure. And minimal government debt. I don't really understand how you would get to a point of reduced government spending and minimal government debt while also trying to be a government that actually does its job, but, who am I to say? Maybe I'm missing part of it on that one. I'm not 100% positive on that one, because that's kind of the first time I'm really looking into that word or those words, fiscally. That's interesting. And I'm sure those are kind of the people that Trump and Elon are trying to target for this campaign and their marketing, their propaganda, and all that stuff, right? Ah, see? Who would volunteer to underwater weld? The girl I work with. She's currently learning to weld and taking diving lessons. Look at that. It's almost like there's people who genuinely want to do this stuff, probably because it pays a shit ton, but then also because that would be a cool ass job, right? Like, I respect that. So we had the first person talking about underwater welding. The second one, I just read the reply. The first person came back and said, people do love to weld. There would definitely be people who want to do that. I would be doing exactly what I'm doing now. I work in healthcare, also volunteer my time in healthcare to those who need it. I love my job. I wish everybody had the chance to, let's see, I'll expand it. Everyone had the chance to love what they do. Okay. But then why does there have to be monetary incentive? Like, yeah, that's literally voluntary work, not... Alright, yeah, sorry, I got a bit distracted there. But, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting to see people's points of view and, like, how different people's perspective and how they see the world. Like, I understand there are different perspectives in the world, but bro, this shit's crazy. Also, yeah, my page is kind of blowing up. And it's interesting that there are some videos that are hitting like 600 views-ish, which is pretty good. 700 there, and then others are like 8, 10, 14. And they're all the same, basically, like comment replies. So it's interesting to see so much variation in the views and stuff, right? But that's okay. Got like 200 or 300 more likes since last night, which is a lot. But how many videos did I post here? So the initial communism rant got around 750 views, not bad. And then 27 comment replies. So yeah, when I said I spammed the living shit out of my page last night and this morning, I meant it. But I highly suggest checking that out and go following. I did post a few on Instagram, but I'm trying to leave the majority over there and just and kind of keep content to certain platforms, right? I don't need to do too much overlap. But yeah, my throat is starting to get a little bit cooked. I did have some more topics that I wrote down before the ideas that I had today for my political stuff. But maybe I'll save that for another podcast. And yeah, I feel like I need to do the podcast right when I have these ideas, or they kind of leave my brain, or I'm not thinking in the same way, in the same mojo. So I'm glad that I recorded this podcast, and I hope you guys enjoy it. If you did, make sure you leave a like, share, comment your favorite part, or comment if you think this sounds like it would work. Or comment if you think that communism and socialism, egalitarianism sounds like it would work, or you think you have a valid argument to why it doesn't. Because so far I haven't really been hearing much in terms of genuine arguments for why it doesn't work. They're all talking about the people oppressing others, and that's part of the thing that communism, socialism, and egalitarianism is trying to combat, right? So I think it's absolutely hilarious that, there have been people in history and even to this day that call themselves socialist or communist, whatever it is. But then they keep perpetuating the same shit that has been going on for years, centuries now. Like, it doesn't really make sense to me. But, like I said, my throat's kind of getting cooked. I'll leave this one here. Again, if you did enjoy, please like and subscribe. Not only to help us build the community, but then you don't miss the new videos that come out, and I'll probably have a few more vlogs coming out before I go back to Ontario from Quebec, visiting my parents here. And then I'll definitely get back to doing more podcasts and other videos. I should have some new music dropping soon, so then there'll be lyric breakdown videos coming very soon. And then yeah, I'm always working on something new, so don't sleep, I would appreciate the support, and I would love to hear from you. But yeah, I'll leave this one here for now. Like I say in all my videos, I love you, stay safe, good luck, and take it easy.